Hello and welcome back to episode 15 of the Middle Ground podcast and episode 3 of Fat Loss Foundations, where I'm taking you through everything you need to know to create the physique change that you want in your life. All the information side of things will be here. We've talked about the general fat loss hierarchy, and we've talked about, what was the last one? Just calories in general. Yeah, and we talked about calories in general. Today, we're going to talk about protein very specifically and give you the lowdown, what matters, what doesn't, and some actionable steps off the back of it that you can start using to increase your general protein intake. I don't think this episode will be too long, lucky for you guys, but it's a very important one because protein is, in my opinion, one of the most overlooked things in the general population's diet, general day-to-day people. I think as a gym goer or as someone that trains or an athlete, whatever you want to call it, protein has this massive importance, and if you're in that community, you struggle to see outside of it and understand that in people's day-to-day life, they don't think about protein. People think about protein as something that only people that go to the gym need, and not something that they need in much larger amounts than they're currently consuming, just for, I would argue, baseline functioning. So if you are that person that hears protein and goes, well, I don't need protein, it's for gym rats, it's powder, it's all of these things, I urge you to reconsider and to enter this podcast with an open mind and hear me when I say that you need protein, and probably more protein than you are currently consuming, even if you don't train yet, because you will train at some point. I know you will. If you're listening to this, you understand the importance of training and you will train. However, let's dive into protein. So, why it matters, basically, is what I'm going to cover first. And the first part I want to talk about is physical. It's muscle. It's the maintenance and growth of muscle mass. So if you are in a deficit, so if fat loss is your goal, protein and resistance training are going to be the things that help you create the physique change that you want, rather than whittling away to nothing and being skinny. Right? And I'm not talking about skinny in the fact that a woman might perceive it as a good thing, because you probably mean toned. I'm talking about skinny in terms of not the desirable kind of skinny, where you've just got no shape, no nothing. So it's going to help you maintain and maybe build, if you're a beginner, muscle mass while you're in a deficit. As long as you consume, 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, you will be maintaining muscle, hopefully, as well as resistance training. If you aren't in a deficit, it's going to help you build that muscle. Again, it's protein is what makes up a lot of our body, a lot of our cells, and a lot of our muscles. So we need to be consuming dietary protein to give our body the correct natural resources to build that muscle. Think of it like a building site, right? You've got the raw materials, and then you've got the boss, right? The raw materials being protein, and the boss being resistance training. So resistance training is giving your muscles that stimulus and that growth signal. So telling your muscles to start growing. So it's the boss shouting at the workers going, build this building. We need to build this building. We need to build this building. And then the protein is the raw materials that you're feeding into your body to then create that building, create that structure, create that muscle growth. So from a muscle perspective, it matters massively. Without it, we don't exist. We have no muscles. Secondly, fullness and satiety. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, by and large. We've established this. 4 calories per gram compared to fats, 9 calories per gram, and carbs also 4 calories per gram. But interesting enough, in studies, the most satiating food has been shown to be a potato, which I find fascinating, considering that protein is the most satiating macronutrient. The most single satiating food is actually a potato, I believe, based on what they measured. So meat could fall outside of this. I can't quite remember the study, but potatoes were up there, fascinatingly. But protein, going to make you full. And if we think about, talked about this in a previous episode, but the thermic effect of food, so the amount of energy, thermic, right? The amount of energy that your body requires to break down and utilize the food that you consume. So basically how many calories you burn eating food, digesting food. Protein has the highest thermic effect of food out of all of them. 20 to 30% of the calories that you consume of protein will be used in the digestion of that protein. So if you consume 100 calories of protein, right? 20 to 30 of those calories will be used in just digesting it and allowing yourself to use it. So you can eat more of it because you don't digest all of the calories from it. You can eat more of it. You feel more full. It's generally slower to digest than carbohydrates. It's going to make you full, which in turn brings us on to our next point, adherence. Sticking to the plan, sticking to the process that you've set out to, engage in. If you aren't hungry all the time, that will be much easier, especially if your goal is fat loss. If you're hungry all the time because you're not consuming enough protein, you're going to really struggle. Even in day-to-day life, if you just want to live a normal life, you have no physique goals, you have no nothing, protein's just going to help you function. It's going to quiet that food noise. It's going to allow you to go about your day without being hungry all the time. A lot of people struggle with being hungry all of the time. Up your fucking protein. I know for a fact that a lot of people listening to this, if you don't track your food and don't really have much care for the nutrition that you consume, you'll be consuming less than 30 grams of protein a day. Probably 30, 40 maybe, especially if you don't eat meat. If you eat meat, you might end up with a rogue 40 or 50. Still nowhere near enough. Unless you weigh 50 pounds. So unless you're a grown person that weighs 25 kilos, you should not be consuming 50 grams of protein a day. Regardless, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your bias says. You should not be consuming that little protein. You don't understand that it can change your life. It can change your life. That sounds stupid. Eating more protein can change your life. It can change your physique. It can change your life. So fucking do it, mate. Do it. Commit to it. How much protein do you need? Very simply. Well, I suppose not very simply, but the general recommendation of the upper limit of kind of effectiveness is 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, that's 140 to 200 grams a day. I weigh about 215 pounds. I consume anywhere from 180 to 220, 230 a day. I don't worry if you overshoot. Massive, if you go over your protein, sound awesome. There's absolutely nothing to worry about. You'd have to go over by a lot for to even cause any damaging effect. A lot of the arguments that people use are, it's going to damage your kidneys. Not a thing unless you consume, a kilo of protein a day. If you consume 1,000 grams of protein a day, probably not going to be too great for your kidneys, but no one's doing that, so don't worry about it. This is the upper limit of effectiveness. So if you're in that 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight range, you will feel the main effects, the full effects, essentially. I wouldn't worry about overshooting it. If you do accidentally, cool, not to worry about it. But I wouldn't necessarily aim for it. If you undershoot it, again, if your bottom of your target range is 140 and you get 130, don't stress about it. Just try and get 140 to 200. It's the upper range of effectiveness. So if you can sit in that range, you'll be absolutely fine, okay? I'm going to dive into some very common mistakes that people face when trying to increase their protein or just with protein in general. So, the first one is something that's become much more prevalent in recent years because of the rise of protein products, because of the rise of companies essentially realizing that there's a big market for it, is misleading labels. Now, always read the back of the packet. Read the nutrition label. If you cannot read a nutrition label, you are not an adult. You're an adult. You should know how to feed yourself. You should know how to read a nutrition label. And if you don't, please find out. Please figure it out because it's so important. If you see marketing on the front of a packet, there's very little regulation there. If something says high protein, read the back. Read the back and make sure. In my eyes, unless something has 10 grams of protein per 100 calories, it's not a high protein product. No chance. For something to be marketed to me as high protein, at least 8 grams per 100 calories. At least, right? Don't fall for marketing on the front that says, 12 grams of protein. For example, right? If a protein bar says 12 grams of protein or high protein, read the back, because it might be 12 grams of protein per 100 grams and the bar's only 50 grams. There's so many misleading ways. There's very little regulation around marketing in the UK. So you have to be really careful around these things. I don't think, there might have been recently that there's some regulation around something having to be labelled high protein, like a percentage thing, but it's still not a lot. Maybe it's like 20% of the product has to be protein, which again isn't a lot. There's something like that. I believe it's been recently put in place because of all this marketing, but there's not a lot of regulation around marketing on the front of packets. So learn how to read the back of a packet, the nutrition label. It will change your approach to shopping, basically, because you can understand everything actually how it is and not fall for marketing tricks. Again, misleading labels, believing marketing. Third point, being scared away from supplements. A lot of people think whey protein is just for meatheads, just for gym lads. What does it do? Is it a steroid? Like, no. Whey protein is simply a byproduct of the milk making process. They skim the whey off of the milk. They sell it to protein companies or to supplement companies, and they turn it into protein powder. That's all it is. It's milk protein. So if you drink milk, you're already consuming whey. So don't worry about it. It's not a steroid. It's not going to change your life. But if you struggle to get your protein in, especially if you're vegetarian and you don't eat meat, protein powder will change the game for you. I was going to say might, but it will. Because all of a sudden, you have the option to go, I'm only at 80 grams for the day. My target's 120. Don't really have many calories left. 2 scoops of clear whey in some water. Shake it up. 160 calories, 40 grams of protein. Bish, bash, bosh. You're absolutely sorted. Do you see what I mean? It changes the game in terms of being able to get your protein in very easily, especially if you're in a deficit where your calories are lower. You don't have to drink it. You can mix it into yogurts. You can mix it into, baked goods or whatever you fancy. Find some recipes, but it will make hitting your protein target much easier, much more effortless, and it is just food. It's just food. That's all it is. Something to fill the gaps, something to help you out hit your protein target. It's not anything beyond just food, okay? And then finally, I've already touched on this, so I'll be quick, but thinking you can overdo it. You can't overdo your protein unless you're consuming 1,000 grams of protein a day, which you're definitely not. Don't worry about it impacting your kidneys. You will just feel better. That's all that will happen. If you increase your protein, you will just feel better, feel more full, find it easy to adhere to your nutrition protocol, okay? Now, very easy ways you can increase your protein. A whey supplement, as I just touched on. 2 scoops, 40 grams of protein, 160 calories. Easy days. Absolute easy days. And they used to be terrible. Whey proteins used to not taste very good at all. Now, things like clear whey exist, which I prefer because it's much less milky, much less thick. Tastes like juice, but has protein in it. Absolutely unbelievable. I was driving up to London for an event about a year ago, and I didn't have anything for breakfast, and I was like, shit, I really need to get my protein in today because I'm going to be out and about. So I just put like 5 scoops of clear whey in a 2-litre bottle of water and filled it up. So I had like 100 grams of protein in a bottle. And like, is it optimal? No, of course it's not. But does it fill the gaps and does it work? Yeah, it does. It works. So whey supplement, very simple one that I tell a lot of my clients to do. And people don't think about it. But when you sit down for a meal, you should be able to identify the protein source on your plate. Very simply. You should be able to go, this is my protein source. Chicken, fish, beef, eggs, whatever, right? You should be able to go, this is my protein source. Increase the size of that portion. That's all you've got to do. If you go, okay, so this meal is potatoes, broccoli, and beef or chicken, you go, okay, so instead of 100 grams of chicken, I'm going to have 150 or 200. Boom, you've just doubled the protein in a meal. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to increase your protein, I think, if you're eating whole food-based meals, because you can look at it and go, that's the source of protein, let me increase that. Very simply. A lot of people overthink that. A lot of people go, oh, I need to find another high-protein meal. No. Just put more protein in the meal. If you're making a lasagna, put double the amount of beef in it. I know it sounds stupid, but just increase the amount of protein in your meals. That's not rocket science, but a lot of people don't think about it. Finally, meal prep and ingredient prep can massively help. So if you prep a massive portion of protein at the start of the week, if you prep a sort of chicken, so for example, I prepped in the slow cooker, I put a kilo of chicken in there and made pulled chicken, barbecue pulled chicken, and I kept it in the fridge. And then I had easy protein on hand as and when I needed it for meals, for snacks, whatever it was there and ready to go. Lowered the barrier to entry massively. And even if I was a bit peckish, I'll go have a couple spoonfuls of pulled chicken. We're sorted. We're cracking on. Boom. Protein's hit, right? So ingredient prep can be really helpful. Ingredient prep, very simply, kind of what I just explained. You prep individual ingredients rather than meals. So you might prep a bunch of potatoes, a bunch of rice, a bunch of beef, a bunch of chicken, bunch of veggies, and then you can go and make your meals when you hit the fridge. Make them a little bit different than the ones you had for last meal, but you don't have to cook anything. You can just put it all in a thing, heat it up. Very limited. You get the benefits of meal prep without the effort of portioning everything out and weighing it all out at the start and then meal prepping that way, and you get the variety of constructing meals from scratch, but very quickly. And slow cooker as well. Slow cooker's huge. I got one for Christmas. As a 23-year-old man, slow cooker should not be my favourite Christmas present, but it was. And now I can make big stews and chicken and briskets, so on and so forth, that just help me hit my protein. Help me keep my nutrition on track without having this crazy meal prep slog on a Sunday. I can put something in the slow cooker for 4 or 5 hours, maybe 8 hours, and come back, and it's done, and meal prep's done for the week. Very simple, right? So, some very real-world examples, like I just talked about, of increasing your protein and helping you get your protein in, is that when you make a meal, you should pick a source of protein to base the meal around. That is where you should start all your meal ideation from. Rather than, what country do I want to cook? What meal do I want to cook? Go, what's my source of protein? Is it chicken? Is it fish? Is it beef? Is it pork? Is it eggs? What is it? What is it? And then you can build out from there. So if you go chicken, you go, I'm going to have, I don't know, chicken casserole, stir fry, chicken egg fried rice. I don't know, right? If you go eggs, you can go, omelette, right? But if you pick your source of protein and build from there, then you make sure that you hit your protein every single meal, rather than trying to create high protein meals of different recipes and and being all over the place. Just pick your source of protein and build a meal out from there. Go, what's my protein? Cool. Where are my carbs coming from? Cool. Where's my veg coming from? Cool. Where's my source of fat coming from? Sound. And then you've got a meal. And you can make it a recipe if you want, but I just think individual components, you're sound. It's not that much of a slog, especially if you're only cooking for yourself. You should be able to cook for your goals without having to research recipes, I think. Supplements, as I talked about, don't fear them. If you get enough from food, like I do, I very rarely consume a whey protein supplement, simply because I get enough from my day-to-day diet. I'll hit 200 grams without thinking about it, just from the foods that I eat on a day-to-day basis. So I don't need a whey supplement. But I always have one handy just in case. So it's not there to be a be-all, end-all, but it can fill the gaps. If you're low on protein, you have it, right? That's the way I think about whey protein. It's not a staple. It can be, if that helps you hit your protein. That's not a bad thing, no good or bad. But if you hit your protein from normal food, then there's no need for it, essentially. It's simply a helpful addition if you struggle. And then finally, I'll wrap this up, the protein episode. This action step: figure out your protein target, set a protein target, 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. You can have it as a range if you want, like that. Track your food, or just track your protein and hit that target, and feel what it feels like to hit that target. You will be so much more full than you currently are. You'll find things much easier. You find sticking to a nutrition protocol much easier. Set that target. You can track all your food like normal, like you would if you were in a deficit anyway, or you can just track your protein. So when you sit down for a meal, you go, what's my source of protein? And then you weigh it out and you just track your protein, make sure you're hitting your protein, bish bash bosh. You've got a protein target, you've hit it, you feel great, you want to continue doing it, keep doing it. So, to recap, protein's very important. Consume it. It will get you jacked. It will retain your muscle when you're in a deficit. It will make you full, and it will make it easier to adhere to your routine. Don't believe labels. Learn how to read a nutrition label. Don't believe any shit marketing or fear-mongering around protein as well. I hope that was helpful. This is episode 3 of Fat Loss Foundations. We've got 7 more to go before we wrap up this series, this mini-series. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it's been interesting. I hope you took away some information. Go and hit your protein. If you have any questions, comment them down below. Message me on Instagram at JudeBenCoaching. Have a great day. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you all in the next one.